So, Ms. Betty, what are the different types of domestic violence?
Well, Tasia, as I handle a lot of these cases, including family law cases, criminal cases, I've run into types of domestic violence that's not traditional, okay? And so, for instance, one thing that comes to mind is financial abuse. This is when one spouse controls all of the funds, all of the income. The other spouse doesn't know where the bank accounts are, doesn't know how much money is in the bank, where they have to rely on the other spouse to provide everything. And if that spouse decides, well, I'm not going to give you money for, let's say, for instance, food, or I'm not going to give you money to go to the doctor, or I'm not going to give you funds for transportation, and that spouse is just stuck. And when that other spouse that has control of everything is doing that, it's so that they can have complete control over their spouse. And so that's one form of abuse. The other thing that comes to mind is emotional abuse. If you're in a relationship where, hey, this person is always putting you down, constantly trying to make you feel less than, or trying to make themselves who knows, they could be answering a domestic call violence right now. But as far as other types of abuse, when you're in a situation where the person is never saying anything positive about you, always putting you down, calling you names and, just making you feel low or less than, that's a form of abuse. If you're in a relationship where you feel that that person is constantly trying to put you down, that should tell you that that's not a relationship that you should be in. That person is abusing you, and they're doing it through your mind, and they're doing it by trying to hurt you at your core. And so that's a form of domestic violence as well. And again, the control. If you're in a situation where that boyfriend or girlfriend doesn't want you to have friends, doesn't want you to stay in contact with your family members, that's abuse. And so these are things that oftentimes, we might think that, he's jealous, and it might make you feel good to think that your man is jealous. But there's a fine line. There's this gray area where it's not cool. It's a red flag. It's abuse. So those are some of the types of abuse. And again, we oftentimes hear about physical abuse. But that physical abuse, if you're pushing me and you're in my face and you're shoving me, that's abuse. Don't get it twisted. Just because that person hasn't, put a black eye on your face doesn't mean that it's not abuse. If they're in your personal space, pushing you, shoving you, that is physical abuse. That is assault. That is battery. That is something that if they did and the police knew about it, they could go to jail.